Craig, you want to do a little intro for yourself?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to do a screen share, or do you want to just are we going to do an interview?
Um, I was assuming you were going to do a screen share, so that's what I was
Perfect.
prepared for.
All right. Got it. Yeah, guys. So this is going to be awesome. I'm going to take you through everything that I learned that helped me not do as well as Justin in the fitness space, but pretty well in the fitness space. So we're going to actually help you make time to make millions. And I just want you to focus on one word in that presentation title. And it's not millions, actually. It's make. We make time, okay? People go around in life and they try and find time for things, but you don't find time. It's not like it's under the bed with your ab rocker collecting dust, okay? So we have to go and make time for what matters. And Justin talked about that in his email. He makes time in the morning to write the email that goes out to us, because that's a huge part of his business. And the people that are successful in life, they make time. We're all copywriters. I'm not as good of a copywriter as everybody on here, but words matter. And that's why I focused on we make time. It's just a mental shift that we have to make in our head. So the truth about today is that I cannot help you write amazing copy like Justin can help you, but I can help you write more amazing copy. And what that means is by structuring your day so that you have the exact right systems and schedule and script. Like Justin, I'm a fan of Dan Kennedy. I've been going to his events since 2007. And that guy scripts out his day. And there's a couple of things I'm going to teach you today that I got directly from Dan that will help you get more done and really hit those deadlines that you have to make for your own business, but also when you're writing for others. Now, as we go along here, I would absolutely love to hear from you guys. So, pop up your questions. I just want to talk about the genesis of this and tiny bit about myself. Is that the guy on the left there in the 555 Soul shirt? That's me in 2005. I am 3 weeks away from an anxiety attack that drove me to the emergency room. And I had two of them that led me to go to the emergency room, thinking I was having a heart attack. Now you look at that guy and you go, how could that guy possibly have the anxiety? Well, I had a lot of clutter in my head. I was overwhelmed. I had what I called the paradox of freedom. I was very fortunate, much like you, that hey, we get to set our own hours. We get to work whenever we want, but when we work whenever we want, there's no boundaries. So I learned that the hard way. And by having that paradox of freedom, work when you want, party when you want. A good friend of Mike Geary's and, trying to keep up with him and Vince Delmonte and Joel Marion, in a trip to Vegas, caught up with me one time. And now the guy on the right, and there you see, that's my dog, Daisy. She just ate all the toilet paper in the bathroom. So that's what I was doing right before this call, was cleaning that up. And she's puppy. But that guy on the right there, he's 44 years old. And you could load me up on caffeine, Red Bulls, whatever it is, and I would never have anxiety again because of the structure and systems and the tools that I have in my toolbox that I'm going to teach you today. So if you're overwhelmed, you got so much on your plate, like for example, my friend Sam Robson, he has so much on his plate, thanks to Justin, because Justin has coached him and Justin has helped him get more great clients, but he's got a lot on his plate. Fortunately, he's also a client of mine, and I've helped him make sure that he gets all of his stuff done in that magic time that Justin shared in his email. So just a little bit about me. I started up in the turbulence training world. I sold my first program online in January. It was January 28th, 2001. I keep this spreadsheet of all my sales from back then. I remember that date. I wrote for Men's Health, and that was a big breakthrough. Then I was an idiot on YouTube for a while, as most people tend to be. There's one of my best viewed videos, 4 million views. And that came because I hired a great copywriter. He wrote me a video sales letter that allowed us to sell hundreds of thousands of copies of this bodyweight program. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we came up with the genesis of the idea, not sitting down at our desks. Okay. So that's probably where you're going to get a lot of ideas, much like I'm sure Justin gets some, when he's out in the cabin, away from technology, or when he's walking George. Today, I've written a couple books, The Perfect Day Formula, and then Unstoppable, which is my kind of life's mission to help people overcome anxiety. So that's how to overcome entrepreneurial anxiety. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to help you end the clutter. That's what you got in your head. I like to say that, imagine if somebody took the Death Star Lego box, and I actually bought this for a friend a couple years, 4,000 pieces of Lego. Imagine somebody came, and it sounds awesome until you open it up and it's a giant cluster, right? So somebody's taken 4,000 pieces of Lego and pulled back your cranium and poured in 4,000 pieces of Lego with like, oh, I got to watch all these Zooms from Justin. I got to, go to his event and get all the ideas there. And I got to meet all these people. And then I got to, try and connect and, get copy. And then I got to write all these projects. And then I want to write my own info product. And you got like 4,000 pieces of Lego in your cranium all cluttered up. And we're going to get rid of that today. I'm going to teach you a couple tools which are a game changer in doing that. So again, anytime you hit me up in the chat, I will be able to pop in there and help you out. So what we're going to do is help you develop singularity of focus, which is something that is also super, super important as a writer. It's singularity of focus. When you can go in there, whether you're Dan Kennedy writing, he is still alive apparently and getting better. If you're Dan Kennedy writing in his basement near Cleveland, Ohio, on a computer that's not attached to the internet, right? Not connected to the internet. Why does he do that? Singularity of focus. I had an apartment in Denver, Colorado when I was running one of my businesses down there. I had it for 18 months. I did not get the internet at home. I would wake up early in the morning. I'd have an hour and a half before I went into the gym and then to the office. And I trained myself that when I wake up in the morning, I don't go online. I write for 90 minutes. And I can crank out 1,500 words in that 90 minutes. I mostly write books as opposed to copy or video scripts, but that is a game changer because I have singularity of focus. And then self-made marching orders and accountability. That's what you're going to get through the training today, which allows you to make time for what matters. Making time for what matters. And this is not just about putting you in front of your computer for 12 hours a day and working. It's about you having an incredible life, because we're actually going to come at this in our second little exercise. We got a couple exercises we're going to do. The second exercise comes at designing your life in a totally different way than most people approach it right now. Now, thing is, in order to make time for what matters, you have to know what does matter and know what doesn't matter. And saying no is powerful, powerful, powerful. Remember, if you want to do great things, you have to do fewer things. Or another line is, you can do anything. You can do anything in your life, but you can't do everything. Can't do everything. And that's what a lot of us are doing too much of. And, again, Justin's email today, what does he say? He says people apply to be on this email list, but he doesn't sit there reading hundreds of applications. No, he's got an assistant that does that. He knows what he should be doing and what he should not do. Now, I'm going to read your mind by, a classic sales letter. You're going to have objections. You're going to go, that won't work for me because, and I know you will, because I've heard every excuse. I just want to say that for my perfect day formula, my worst Amazon review is from a woman with 1 child. My best Amazon review is from a woman with 3 children. And it's all about your mindset, right? We can sit there and we can make excuses about, oh, I can never write copy like Justin or Stefan, whatever. Or I can't do this because I have 2.17 kids and 3.1 dogs and 0.6 of a cat. So this doesn't apply to me. Well, listen, it does. These are foundational principles. So I also appreciate your questions and challenge me on this. And I'll be able to come up with an example of somebody that I work with, whether it's a CEO, whether it's a writer, whether it's, Joel Marion's been a client of mine for a long time, one of my best friends, but also a client. And remember, we can make this work for you no matter what. So 2008, I'm at a Dan Kennedy event. I think it was in St. Louis. And one of the speakers there was Donald Ross. Now, I had no idea who Donald Ross was, but he was apparently Donald Trump's lawyer on The Apprentice. So this is 2008. And he's telling stories up there. So who knows if this is true or not. But he goes, and he meant Donald Trump, we make everybody who comes into the business do a time journal. And then it clicked for me because I came from the fitness space. And what do we tell our fitness clients? If you write copy for fitness people or nutrition people, or you've read Men's Health at all, you may have heard of something like a food journal. And what do you find when you give somebody a food journal? Well, they find out when they're eating mindlessly. Oh, they go home and, 3:30 in the afternoon, and they turn on Oprah, and Oprah's on, and oh my goodness, let me just sit down and have a cookie while I eat Oprah because I had a tough day, right? And then, but I'm not really hungry. And then, or they're filling that gap between dinner, and you're like, oh, well, this is a habit, a ritual. We're going to break this, and so on and so forth. And what they find is that research shows that when people use a food journal, they lose more weight. They lose more weight in a study. Okay, great. It's because you're making that cause and effect. I do this because of this. So what I realized was I started doing this time journal stuff back when I had the anxiety. Then I started coaching other people on this stuff. And it's just like, hey, fill out this time journal. And here's what we're going to find. We're going to find 3 things. We are going to find your OCD loops. Your OCD loops are where we get caught in this bad pattern. We're going to find your magic time. And Justin alluded to this in his email. And this, probably your magic time, is going to be the game changer in terms of writing more copy, writing more killer copy. We're going to identify that time of day when the ideas are flowing into your head and just like, wow, how did I come up with that? Because like maybe you're the type of person who loves writing copy at 10 o'clock at night, like Joel. So I used to spend a lot of time at Joel Marion's house. Joel Marion's a huge marketer, successful marketer he's also huge, but he's also a hugely successful marketer in the fitness space, right? I mean, the guy has 20 million email subscribers, and I used to stay at his house, his mansion down in Florida. And I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm that weirdo, but Joel would be so my bedroom, I have a bedroom at his house, basically, because I stayed there so much. I would get up at 4 in the morning. The bedroom's right connected to the office, huge office. I would get up and he would go, oh, this must mean it's bedtime for me, because he would work from 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. And we would pass kind of like the 2 sheepdogs from Bugs Bunny, if you ever remember that old cartoon. So anyways, let's say that your best time for writing copy is 10 o'clock at night. But hey, you got Netflix, you got your spouse, you got a couple of glasses of wine, and you're like, oh, I'm going to write amazing copy tonight. And then the next thing you know, you're like 3 episodes deep of Game of Thrones and 3 glasses of wine deep. And you're like, oh, it'll wait till tomorrow. And then you write like some half-baked copy in the middle of the day, and you're like, man, it's just not coming to me. I'll write tonight. And then again, you're 3 episodes into Seinfeld, and then 3 glasses of wine, or 3 joints or whatever you do into something, and I'll wait till tomorrow. And you're missing out on that magic time. You got to find that magic time. We'll talk about it in a second. And then we're going to calculate your worth. Okay, calculating your worth will help you protect your time, because you'll start making better decisions about your time and how you live your life. And you're going to make things easier on you. Okay. So this is very, very important just from doing the time journal. So what you'll do, I mean, this is very simple. We got a quick little question here in the chat or comment. Ed, my man from Dan Locke's world coming on here. Look, imagine we were all as successful and as smart and wise as Ed at, 20 or whatever he is. It's amazing. Anyways, yes, absolutely true. We all know our magic times, and sometimes we sacrifice it. So go to the time journal, and you can make one of these with a printed piece of paper. And what I recommend that you do is 2 days during the week and 1 weekend day. And you sit there and you write down on a 20 or 30-minute increment, preferably 20, you write down what you're doing. And now here's the magic part: why you're doing it. What are you feeling, right? Because my friend Bedros Koulian went to, his therapist said, listen, Bedros, whenever you do something wrong, it's because of HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. HALT. If you act out, if you're one of those people who are good most of the time and then you booze once in a while, well, you're either hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Okay, you're probably angry, lonely, or tired. And so you hit the bottle, or you binge eat, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Most people are not binge eating because they're hungry. It's because they're angry, lonely, or tired. And it's the same with our time. We will waste our time because we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. So if you go through and you just write down, 5 o'clock, let's say you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I get up and I do my morning routine, and 8 o'clock, I start to write. And then about 10 o'clock in the morning, man, I'm like on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn. You're on LinkedIn, you're on Facebook, you're on Facebook, Twitter? Who uses Twitter anymore? And so you're on all these things, and you just keep going through what I call the OCD loop. The OCD loop. I actually must admit, I got it from Evan Pagan. Okay, Evan Pagan, the great copywriter and a businessman, he used this first, and I was like, OCD loop, yes, because when I heard about this, it was 2007, and I had an OCD loop. I was checking my ClickBank stats. Remember ClickBank? So I went ClickBank to email to Facebook, because I had just gotten a Facebook account in 2007, and then from Facebook to ESPN, and then I looped all the way back up to the top. And sure enough, 45 minutes, an hour goes by, and I was doing this every day at 11 o'clock in the morning after I had worked for about 4 hours. Now, the reason why I was doing it was because I had really done a good amount of work, and now I was tired. I was like bored. I'm like, oh my God, I got to write more. And so I'd get in this loop. So you're going to go through this, and you're going to write down what you're doing every 20 minutes over the course of 2 days, and then on a weekend day. And you are going to use the scientific method, cause and effect, cause and effect. When I do this, it's because of this, right? It's classic, back to the food journal. Most people go through life, like the average person goes through life wondering, why am I so tired at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? And if you go back in time to noon, they went to Burger King. They went to Burger King. They've been going to Burger King for the last 20 years. And for the last 20 years, they've been tired and falling asleep at their desk or at their heavy machinery or whatever they're doing. And they never make the connection, the cause and the effect. But you're smarter than that. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go through this, and you're going to identify the time where you're getting in the loop, whether it's an innocuous one like social media, or maybe it's like porn and booze or whatever it is. And you might find like you just go off the rails for a couple of days. Copywriters, that's what you guys do. You like going off the rails, right? I'm a writer too, so I'm not perfect. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the OCD loop, and then once you've found it, well, great, I found it. I found where I'm wasting time, and I kind of know why I'm wasting time. But if that's where we stop, it's just like, well, now I know why I do it. No, we need to find something that circumvents it, right? It's like a circuit breaker. These are the triggers. How do we get out of it? So what I found was, if I could just open up a Word document, if I'm going through my ClickBank and my Facebook, if I can just go and open a Word document, and now I can start writing, and I'll get back in the flow. Or maybe you just go outside and you go for a walk, right? Because you've been sitting in front of your silly computer for too long. So you identify the offending behavior, why you're doing it, hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, and then how do you get out of the loop? How do you break the cycle? And then get back into some good work. All right, so we got a couple of things in the chat here. OCD, yeah, OCD is, sorry, Sven, that's what OCD stands for. Basically repeating the same thing over and over again, but not just repeating the same thing over and over again. It's like irrationally doing it, right? So I like to joke that I used to say that I had a right angle obsession. And what that means is, when I do my coaching sessions, if we do it at a round table, I used to get kind of freaked out. Like, how does my binder, the corners of my binder, how do they line up on a round table? Right? That's an OCD. That's irrational. Like, Craig, just freaking let it go. But we all have those things. And that's what we're describing with the time wasting loops. Why do you go and spend so much time on social? I know a lot of young men who come to me and say, like, too much porn. I'm like, okay, you got to stop that. We're going to find out a way to get you out of that. Everybody's got these things. Don't feel bad about it. We're all wired weird in a way. And so we just want to identify it and stop the loop. Now, the second thing that we do is we want to find our magic time. So magic time is a time of day when you are 3 times more creative, productive, and energetic. Creative, productive, and energetic. So I first discovered this back in about 2003. I was a personal trainer at the time, starting my online business. And man, on Saturday mornings, I would write for like 30 minutes before I had to run and train my first client at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh my God, I have so many amazing ideas right now. If I could just stay here and work, I'd be able to write so much. And so by realizing that, making the cause and effect, I realized, man, if I try and write the same article at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it takes me twice as long, 3 times as long. So you are going to, by going through the time journal, you're going to go, wow. If you don't already know this, and hopefully you do, but like, wow, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the flow. So your magic time is the time of day when you are in the flow, where the copy is, it's not just like a lot of words come out, but a lot of great words come out. The phrases. My mentor is a guy named Mark Ford, who wrote all those books like Ready, Fire, Aim, who Ryan Dice calls one of his top 5 business books. So Mark Ford wrote all his books under the name Michael Masterson. And he says, like, he's part of Agora, right? I'm not sure if so Bill Bonner's the founder of Agora, and Mark Ford was a partner with Bill Bonner since like the 90s in Agora. So he's, grown it and blown it up. And he said what they did when they had meetings with copywriters, everything had to be recorded, because they came up with something called the particular articulation. I love that. It sounds great, right? And what they meant was, you've probably had this where you're in a meeting and you're brainstorming stuff, and somebody says something like, that's the perfect line. Yes. And that's the argument. Great. And then everybody leaves the meeting and you're like, wait a minute, how did that go again? And you can never recapture the magic of it, right? So the particular articulation, those things, those magic phrases are what come to you in your magic time. So when you're having the conversations with your copywriter friends, make sure you record them. But also when you're writing, your best writing, the writing that flows the most, the writing that has the most particular articulations, like, the 7-figure, 8-figure phrases, those are the things that come in your magic time. So as you go through the journal, you'll go, if I could just write from 9 till 10, and again, this is not going to be like, oh, my magic time is 9 till 3. No, it's not. There, Junior. It is 9 till 10 or 9 till 11, couple hours. And if you can get that block, you gotta protect it. And I like to say, you ruthlessly protect that magic time like my dog protects her dog bowl when she's eating. Okay, like, it's like nobody's allowed to get near it. So with that in place, the third thing, after you've like, okay, I've identified my OCD loop, so I'm not wasting time all day, and now I've found my magic time, so I'm actually going to write better copy and more copy at a certain time of day. And I'm not going to take meetings. I'm not going to do emails. I'm not going to be scrolling. I'm not going to be doing anything else during my magic time but writing my best copy. Well, the next thing that we do is we go and we calculate our worth. This is where so many, especially entrepreneurs, really drop the ball here. And they end up doing a lot of what I call $10 an hour tests. So way back in the 90s, when I was in college, I was paying for college by working in a factory in the summertime. And I would hear about, this machinist made $15 an hour, and this guy made $20 an hour. And it's like, wow, $20 an hour, because I'm a college kid. What do I know about $20 an hour, right? I was making like $10 an hour. I'm like, whoa, how much would you make in a year if you made $20 an hour? And that's when I developed the rule of 2000. So most people work 50 weeks in a year, and they work 40 hours a week. So all you do is you take their dollar per hour and multiply it by 2,000, and you get their annual salary. So $20 an hour, double it, times it by 1,000, it's 40 grand a year is what they make. Now, here's the thing, is that let's say there's a couple of beginner copywriters on here, intermediate, and they make 100 grand a year. So if you make 100 grand a year, what is your hourly worth if you work 40 hours a week? What's your hourly worth if you make 100 grand a year? It's very simple. And the winner is, we got somebody in the chat here, $50 from Yemi. Yes, absolutely, right? So if you make 100 grand in a year, like let's say you got paid 100 grand for all the copy you wrote last year and you worked full time, your hourly worth would be $50 an hour, right? It's take your annual salary and divide it by 2,000, and that's what you get per hour. Why am I talking about this? Well, the reason why I'm talking about this is that you are doing a ton of stuff in your life that are $10 an hour tasks, and they're robbing you of time to work in your magic time, to write copy, to drum up business, which is something that I think every copywriter has to be doing, to edit your stuff, and to relax and recover and let your brain recover, or maybe just to read, because most copywriters, they get a ton of ideas from reading. So what you need to do, just ignore that phone, is you need to make sure that every single thing that you can have delegated, outsourced, done by somebody else is done by somebody else. And that means no more meal prep, no more cooking, no more mowing the lawn, no more any of this stuff, going to the grocery store, because in this day and age, there is somebody out there willing to do it for you, okay? The gig economy is out there. You can get anybody to do anything for any small amount of money. You can get a virtual assistant online from the Philippines. You can get them for 5 hours a week. They pay like $5 an hour. Everybody can afford $25 a week that's listening to this call to have somebody go and do the administrative tasks in your business so that you're not in that $10 an hour task or $5 an hour task and doing that stuff that robs you of your precious time for writing $1 million copy. So one of the other things that I want you to do is to do that time journal, is write down when you're doing something, just think, can somebody else do this for me? And be ruthless. Go through it twice and just go, all right, let's see. I ran my my cleaning to the dry cleaners. I don't have to do that. Somebody else can do it. And I've worked this out on everything because I am actually one of the most laziest and unmotivated people. And I don't want to do anything. Like, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do my laundry. I do walk my dog because I love it. And I do go to grocery stores because I'm fascinated by places like Whole Foods. Like if you want to get good copywriting and, price objection stuff, like go to Whole Foods and see what you'll spend. I'll spend $7 on a kombucha. Why am I such an idiot to do that? There's a lesson there. But for all the other stuff in my life, I don't do it. And I'm very, very harsh on my friends, my clients, my readers, that you were not put here to clean your house. You were not put here on this earth to clean houses, to make your own meals every single night. And I love teaching this to female entrepreneurs, because if there's any female copywriters listening right now, you have the world's guilt on you. Like your mother-in-law, like, oh my God, if my mother-in-law found out that I didn't do all the meal prep, oh my God, I cannot possibly do that. Like, I'm here to give you permission. The single 44-year-old guy is here to give you permission to be more like me, so that you can go out there and write copy that impacts people's lives. That's what you are here for. So let's say right now, like if you have a product or you're writing copy for some product which can really change people's lives, but you're not getting the copy written because, oh my gosh, I really have to go and cut the lawn and prune the trees and stuff. It's that time of year, whatever. And that's getting in the way of you writing copy that is going to change millions of people's lives. You've got your life backwards. And so you got to be ruthless. I say this in a way that actually is a little bit more interesting. And I call it, you got to be the Oprah of your business. Be the Oprah of your life and the Oprah of your business. And simply think, what would Oprah do if Oprah was me? Well, Oprah wouldn't be running to the FedEx store to, I got a contract here and I got to, sign it and FedEx it. I got to run down the FedEx store. No, Oprah would not do that. Oprah would not do the catering. Oprah doesn't make her own meals. Oprah does what only Oprah can do. And that's why she's a billionaire, because she has become the superstar and only does what the superstar does. And you're a superstar copywriter, and you're only going to become a better copywriter by studying more copy, thinking about copy, writing copy, being around copywriters. You're not going to become a better copywriter by, making all the sandwiches for your kids. So that's what I'm challenging you on. And that is why you need to know your worth. And then, so if your worth is $50 an hour, you're not allowed to do anything that you can pay somebody else $100 an hour to do. You're probably wondering, $100 an hour? I thought it was worth 50. You are worth 50, but you got to double your worth. And because that pushes you, right? That makes it super uncomfortable. $100. Yes, that means hiring a bookkeeper, hiring all these things so that you stop doing the little stuff and you only do the biggest stuff in your business so that you become as rich as Justin. All right? So challenge me on that if you want. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have on that. But the solutions to doing this are, again, the gig economy, Craigslist, Uber, everything. Like, I don't have a car. I write, and I know like some people get car sick when they do this, but I actually write in the back of an Uber. I take Ubers an hour and a half long from my home to the airport, from the airport. I spent a lot of time in California to like an hour away, and I will write. I can write 1,000 words in an hour in the back of an Uber, and I made a lot of money in the back of an Uber. I just don't do anything myself anymore. You also have your personal network of friends, of family. And the other thing is just make sure that you have a deadline with significant consequences for everything that you put in your day. So this is one of the things I learned from Dan Kennedy is, let's say you have a meeting with a client. If you don't have an end time to the meeting, an end time, everybody's got a start time to the meeting, but you have to have end times to your meeting as well. Otherwise, the time gets eaten up. So you say, hey, great, I've got from 9 until 9:45 on Tuesday at 9, October, whatever. And then, I don't want you to waste your time. So we'll have 45 minutes. Here's the agenda. And boom, you guys have a very, very productive meeting. Otherwise, like, yeah, we'll meet at 9. And the next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock. You wasted 2 hours of their time, 2 hours of your time, when it could have been done a whole lot faster. So make sure that you have deadlines in your days so that you get done on time. Other thing, yeah, so those are the start times and end times. Make sure that we have cutoff times for our day. Those are the boundaries we have to put in place, and then bumpers and boundaries. And I'm going to talk about that as we go into our perfect week formula. Okay, so Jason Gasparo has a question. Do you believe a night owl can become an early riser after many years of night owl? Or do you believe this is kind of hardwired into your systems at birth? So he's a night owl. He would love to wake up early, full of energy, so he can have free time in the afternoon, evenings. Okay, so you guys probably know Neil Strauss. Neil Strauss wrote, what was that book? The Motley Crue book, Decadence or something like that. Anyway, so Neil Strauss actually, he wrote The Dirt. That's the book, I think, the Motley Crue one. And so Neil wrote an article about this, maybe for the Rolling Stone or maybe just for his blog, but he talked about how, he was writing until 4 o'clock in the morning, and he thought, I'm going to switch this up. And he went and started getting up at 9 o'clock in the morning. And he said what, essentially everybody knows. Yes, you get more done earlier in the morning. You sacrifice your social life for it. Now, Neil's probably not one of the chronologically and biologically night owls. So I just read a great book by Dr. Matthew Walker. He's been on Rogan. He's got a book called Why We Sleep. And he says there are 20% of adults who just mentally do not function before 11 o'clock in the morning. And, for me, I function very well all times of the day, but especially early in the morning. It's hard to believe. But Jason, if you are one of those people, it will be tough, and you'll have to, but if you're not one of those people and just likes being up late at night, then you can make the shift. And Joel Marion made the shift too. Remember I talked about before, he worked from 10 p.m. till 4 a.m. building a $100 million supplement company called BioTrust. But now he gets up off and on at a regular time and works during the day. So if you are not biologically set for the late morning, then yes, you can do it. It's habits to overcome. Habits are often challenging to overcome, but they are possible to overcome. If you are one of those people that are also biologically suited for later in the day, then you would just have to customize your life around that. So great question, and it's really depends on which one you fit into.
Craig, I want to chime in.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.
So I've personally always been a sleep in late kind of person. Wake up 8:30, wake up at 9. I don't have kids, so I kind of have that freedom. But recently, just in the last couple of months, I've started getting up around 6:30 or 7. And then I've kind of found that my magic time in the morning, 7 to 9, is like, without a doubt, the best time I've ever had kind of writing. There's nothing going on in my house. Not like people aren't at the door. Shit's not popping up. So yeah, I used to always believe I was very much a could not get up early person. But for me, it really just came down to getting way more consistent about what time I went to bed. I know you've talked about this before, Craig. It's probably the single best thing you can do for your energy levels is get to bed at the same time every single night. And that's kind of how I've found waking up early works for me.
Yeah, great point. So if you are, everybody listening, including Jason, if you are getting up later than you want right now, don't go and join the 5 a.m. club tomorrow. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to end well. When somebody like Russell Brunson got my book one time, and he was getting up at like 7 in the morning. And then he made this podcast about, oh, I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I got, a full day of work done before the kids got up. And I'm like, I know how this is going to end. There's actually a term for it. It's called social jet lag, where you get up early and like the first day you're awesome. And then the second day it's pretty good. And then the third day you crash and you're like, getting up early sucks. So don't do it that way. When I was getting up at 7:30 in the morning back in my anxiety days, and I know 7:30 sounds early to some people, it gave me anxiety because I'm a morning person and I want to do so much in the morning. So I was like, I got to get up earlier tomorrow. So I got up at 7:25 for 3 days. Then I got up at 7:20 for 3 days, then 7:15, and so on, like 5 minutes at a time. And eventually you'll find an earlier time in the day. Listen, we just don't have to go all in. It's like somebody who's been eating pizza and soda for the last 20 years, and then you tell them to eat, okay, tomorrow it's chicken and broccoli for the rest of your life. Ain't going to end well. So great question. Great point from Justin about the getting up at the same time every day and going to bed at the same time. That's actually from Dr. Matthew Walker. It's the number one tip that he gives for having better sleep. So it is as humans, we are wired for routine. We are meant to get up at the same time. We're meant to eat at the same time. We're meant to exercise at the same time. Everything is meant to, we're meant to be boring as heck, and so try and get that routine down. So Ben asked, do you use an alarm to incrementally wake up to make that change? Yeah, you would use an alarm for sure to do that. And I use an alarm most days as well. Well, I set the alarm every day, and I need it probably like at least half the time. So if you're getting up at 8 now and you want to get up earlier, set the alarm for 7:55 tomorrow. Connor has a question. Any tips for keeping your magic time when you're traveling and don't have a consistent sleep schedule? That's a great question. And so there's a phrase that I'm going to use in this next exercise, but also refers to magic time. And your days in general is not every day has to look the same. And I often counsel people who have a spouse who's like, like let's say you want to go to bed early and your spouse wants to stay up later. Well, not every day has to look the same. Now, Justin and I both said, try to go to bed at the same time every night and get up at the same time every day. Try, okay? But if you can't, like if your relationship depends on you staying up later a couple nights, great. But you don't have to stay up late every night, and you don't have to go to bed early every night. So in certain situations, understand like maybe you won't get your magic time. So don't put the pressure on yourself and like, oh my God, I didn't hit my magic time. And then, kick yourself in the stomach all day. Don't do that. Just be like, okay, listen, I'm traveling to an event. I'm going to sacrifice magic time tomorrow, but then I'm going to get back on track the next day. No big deal. It's just the way it is. Sometimes we just don't get to do all the things that we want to do. And it's the same with, hey, honey, I'm going to go to bed early Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night, but I'm going to stay up later on Wednesday. I'm going to stay up even later on Thursday. And then we're going to have normal time on Friday and Saturday. But I just, I want to start this side business and write this copy, and, hopefully we can both make a couple of sacrifices here. And that's what, good communication in a relationship. So we're going to go into the making time 2.0 here, which will address a lot of the stuff that Jason and Connor and Ben have been asking about, and that Justin mentioned as well. So after I wrote the perfect day formula, I realized I wrote the wrong book. I should have written the perfect week formula, because not every day looks the same. And, if you can have a blank piece of paper, I'm not sure if I sent these worksheets to everybody, but if you can get a blank piece of paper and just draw this out, I call it the 7x7 grid. Basically every time block is like 90 minutes to 2 or 3 hours. And you're going to end up with something like this. Now, the first thing that you're going to do is you're not going to put work on this. Notice at the bottom, it says, build your business around your life and not your life around your business. Build your business, build your copywriting business around your life or your info product business or whatever it is, and not your life around your business. Too many entrepreneurs make this mistake, right? It's like, oh, well, I'll just, I started this business and I'll just try and fit in, I'll try and find time for family and all that stuff. And the next thing you know, 20 years goes by, they're overweight, they're divorced, and they've really ruined their life by not taking this approach. And I work with a lot of people who are very successful at building their business around their life. such as my friend Bedros Keuilian. So Bedros Keuilian is the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp. I own a couple of locations. He has 800 franchises. He has 55 employees. And every Wednesday night at 5 o'clock, even if I'm down there and we've ran a mastermind all day long, he looks at me and goes, Craig, see you later, buddy. You're on your own tonight. Because he has non-negotiable date night on Wednesday night. Every Wednesday. He plans his travel around it. He does all that sort of stuff. And when he does that, he has what I call a bumper and boundary in place. Now, if he has to stop working at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, what do you think the rest of Wednesday looks like? Very dialed in. So what you're going to do on the blank piece of paper is you're going to go, hey, listen, what are the things I want to put on here for my life? For my life. My life goes on the calendar first when I plan this out every Sunday morning. You know, Justin's going to cross off all Saturday morning. Well, a little bit of time for writing on Saturday morning, and then it's going to be college football all day Saturday for Justin. You know, a little time for George as well. Great. That's the first thing that probably goes on his calendar. And then he builds the rest of his week around that. What most people do is they're like, oh, I'm going to take on all these projects and I'm going to fit them in here. And then if I got time to watch 3 minutes of highlights of college football, hopefully I'm lucky. Now, that's not how you do it. And you might be thinking, well, geez, I'm just getting started, or I've got a big business to run. How could I possibly go about it this way? Trust me, when you put the boundaries and bumpers on first, the family time, the workouts. So, right, like you put the workouts on there. And if you're serious about fitness, you don't miss a workout, right? It's a non-negotiable in your life. Just like you need to put date night in there as non-negotiable. Too many people they have date night on the calendar, but it becomes a negotiable. So 3 o'clock, you're like, oh man, I got a deadline on this copy. I'm going to call my partner and my spouse and say, hey, listen, we were going to do dinner and a movie. Tonight, we're just going to do dinner. Okay. Please forgive me. And then an hour later, like, oh my God, there's no way I'm going to make this deadline. I got to get this damn lock copy out to Ed, or he's going to kill me. He's going to send somebody down from the Chinese mafia or something. Oh my God, honey, I'm going to pick up some Chick-fil-A tonight, and like, that's date night, right? That's date night it's because it's negotiable. But if you put this stuff on, if you put date night, your workouts, your massage time, your family movie night, your family dinner, all this stuff goes on the calendar first as a non-negotiable, just like a call with your lawyer or a trip to the dentist. Now you're like, oh man, I really have to become a productive machine here in order to get all of my work done inside the boundaries and bumpers. So by putting on date night and family time and all that sort of stuff, it's like when you take a child bowling. And if you've ever taken a child bowling, you put up bumpers so that they don't throw gutter balls. And by putting personal stuff on your calendar first, it prevents you from throwing gutter balls in your personal life. So that's what you're going to do. So quickly as we go through this, just scribble off like, oh my gosh, I want to have date night, and Tuesday's probably best, because I coach a lot of entrepreneurs and it always comes up, hey, we want to have more date nights. And I go, how often do you do it? Date night, that is. And they go, once a month. And I go, how often do you want to do it? Date night, that is. And they go, once a week. I go, great, put it on the calendar, make it a non-negotiable, and I have solved one of your biggest problems in your life. And they're like, oh, yeah, because now it's non-negotiable. They've made that pact. And it's the same with going to grandma's for Sunday dinner. On Sunday, I recommend device-free time, which is where you put all your electronics away. Much like Justin went to the cabin for 4 days. I suggest you start with 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday just to help wean you off your electronics. I highly recommend a weekly review on Sunday morning and planning time on a Sunday morning. And if you put this general template into place, you put the specifics in every Sunday morning, and you just crush your weeks ahead. So that's the first thing we put on the calendar, is our life. The second thing is we're going to look at 3 lines that are on here: your wake up time, your reverse alarm, and your bedtime. So as Justin mentioned, as my mentor, Mark Ford, told me back when I was 25 years old, he said, get up at the same time every day, go to bed at the same time every night. And when you do that, you will have the greatest all-day energy. You will sleep better. I just bought the Aura ring. Give me a thumbs up or a yeah if you've got an Aura ring down in the chat. It's fascinating. It's fascinating because I sleep sometimes. I sometimes sleep, according to the Ring, I sleep better than I thought. And then other times I think I had a great night's sleep, and it shows I had like hardly any REM sleep or deep sleep. It's really fascinating. Anyways, what you'll find is that it gives you great data on helping you sleep better. And you'll find that when you stick to that pattern and that schedule, you will sleep better if you go to bed at the same time, relatively close to every night. Now, here's the thing. If you struggle to get to sleep, like let's say, okay, I want to go to bed at 11 o'clock every night, and oh man, it's 11:30 and I still want to do like 2 more things. Tomorrow, I'm going to be tired and I'm going to go to bed really early tomorrow. And then sure enough, tomorrow, it's like midnight. I'm like, oh my God, I still got to watch 1 more episode of Game of Thrones. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm going to bed really early. And the pattern continues. And it's because you don't use a reverse alarm. So a reverse alarm is something very, very simple. If you want to go to bed at 11 o'clock, you set an alarm at 10 o'clock, your phone goes off and you're like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. I have to turn off all my electronics. And now I can only do what I call old school activities. Old school activities are taking a bath, reading stories to your kids, or having conversations with anybody that doesn't involve electronics. No more reading email, no more watching Netflix, because those things, we all know about the blue light. And yeah, you can have blue blockers and all that stuff, but there's no glasses that will stop the mental stimulus of an emergency email from a client coming in. Like, there's no glasses that stop me from getting stressed out about that, okay? So if you check your email 5 minutes before your bedtime and you get that email from a client and that email can wait until tomorrow, you're not going to sleep well. So that's why we got to shut down the electronics an hour before bed. And when you do that, you'll get to bed on time, you'll wake up on time, and you'll dominate your days. The next thing I want to cover on here is the cutoff time. And this is where we're going to go back to the Death Star Lego that is that box of 4,000 pieces cluttered up in your head. So there's 3 things you're going to do at your cutoff time. And this is the end of your day, end of your work day. It could be anywhere from like 3 o'clock till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Not too close to bedtime, but a couple hours before bed at the latest. And it can even be early afternoon if you've got a very busy late day. I have one client who does it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because he always forgets to do it if he tries to do it at 5 o'clock. Great. You're going to know enough to do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the 3 steps are this. The first one is called the brain dump. All you need is a scrap piece of paper, and you're going to sit down and you're going to scribble out all the things running through your head. Like the 18 things going through your head. Oh, tomorrow I got to email Ed. I got to be on Justin's webinar. I got to write that 1,000-word lander for my client. I have to write that 3 email package for the other client. And then I got to pick up milk, and I got to pick up the kids, and I got to do my workout, and I got to do this and do that. And I got to read, and I got to study. Oh my God. And then you just get it out. Okay. So you just dump it all out of your head. And now it's like taking those Lego pieces and spreading them out on the table. It's not finished, but it makes you feel a whole lot better. It's like the weight of the world is off your shoulders, and you're like, oh my God. Okay, good. All right. Now, step 2 after the brain dump is you do what's called a priority to-do list. So you take those 18 things or 4,000 things and you like put the 1, 2, and 3. What are the 3 most important things that I must do tomorrow? Now, of course, you're going to have to pick up the kids. Like, you're always going to have to pick up the kids. Okay. That's not an optional thing, but we know that here are the 3 most important work tasks. So now we've got a priority to-do list, because if you're doing your to-do list in the morning, you're already too late. You're already too late. There's a book by a guy named Daniel Pink. It's called When, the Scientific Best Time to Do Everything. And he says, we, very much like Mark Twain said, you got to eat that frog. The best thing to do, if you got to eat a frog, the best thing to do is eat that frog first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat 2 frogs, the best thing to do is eat the biggest frog first. Okay. So that's an old saying from Mark Twain. And it's proven by Daniel Pink's research that shows we have the greatest willpower, discipline, and intention in the morning. Greatest willpower, discipline, and intention in the morning. So back to Jason's question, well, you actually probably will get more done if you wake up in the morning, you work on the hard stuff first. Work on the hard stuff first. So I know Sean Hadsell comes to Justin's mastermind, and Sean Hadsel's a great copywriter. He's a longtime friend of mine. And Sean, he used to have this thing that he did called the hour of power in the morning. hour of power. So he does devotional, he does mind movies, he does gratitude journaling and something else, an hour in the morning. And then he would go and do his workout. And then at about 10 o'clock in the morning, he would sit down to write copy, but he also had a team, and the team wanted a piece of him at 10 o'clock in the morning. And he was like, man, I'm just never getting around to doing my best copy. I'm like, Sean, you gotta switch it up. Move the hour of power later and do your best work first thing in the morning. And he's like, I don't want to do that. I think I almost nailed the Michigan accent there. I don't want to do that, Craig. And so he would say, but then he finally did it. And by switching up his morning routine, where he did the hardest thing first, because he has to-do list done the night before, and he moved his hour of power, he began writing better copy. So we do the brain dump, then we organize everything in a priority to-do list. And then here's the third thing. This is the magic, because most people who are really smart make it to doing their to-do list the night before, but they miss out on this third thing, which is what I call process planning, making the path smoother. And I stole this from Chip and Dan Heath. They have a book called Switch, which is about habit change. And they talk about how you need to make the path smoother for any habit change in life. So if somebody wants to exercise in the morning and they're very sedentary, they wake up in the morning and go, oh my God, it's cold. And oh, my workout clothes are over there. Oh, well, what you're going to do is you're going to put your workout clothes right beside your bed so that when you wake up, you put them on, and half begun is half done, as Mary Poppins says. So if you need to wake up in the morning and write copy, just like I need to wake up in the morning and write chapters for a book, if we go to our computer and we open it up and there's a blank screen there, we're going to hit writer's block. But if we come up with 5 bullet points the night before and we have to write 1,500 words, now we only have to write 300 words on 5 bullet points. And I'm a big believer in your subconscious mind working overnight. If you've given it 5 bullet points to work on, man, that copy is going to flow out of your head in the morning, and you will get 3 times more done. So a quick little story on the subconscious mind. You guys, I'm sure you've all heard of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. According to legend, and somebody actually sent me an audio where this was explained by Napoleon Hill, is true story. 3 hours before the deadline of submitting his book, Think and Grow Rich was actually called Use Your Noodle to Get the Boodle. Right. Yeah. Like you would have bought 10 copies of that one. So he went to sleep. He went and had a nap, and he woke up, and his subconscious mind came up with Think and Grow Rich, and the rest is history. So you do the brain dump, you get all the junk out of your head, you organize it in a priority to-do list, and then you make the path smoother by doing a little bit of process planning the night before, and you wake up and you eat that frog and you dominate your day and you get so much done. Just like, like Justin has this down. I don't know if he does the stuff, but in the morning he wakes up and writes very well because his brain probably did a lot of the work overnight. So Sven has a quick question. He says, what do you propose when having a coach from a different time zone and there are meetings at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 1 a.m., 2 and 3 a.m.? Well, I imagine those are not every day. So I would just say not every day has to look the same. And I would say that no matter what, you have to understand there are doctors who work shift work. There are military people who work shift work. They have to do, like in the emergency room, doesn't matter if the guy's like, I'm an early riser. Hey, listen, if you're on the midnight shift, Mr. ER doc, you better fricking do a good job. So at the end of the day, we still have the choice, no matter how we're biologically wired, we still have the choice to do our best work. We're pros, and a pro will do their best work no matter when. So sometimes we just have to, you won't always have a coach at those times spent. So eventually you'll have to get to it. All right. So we've done the cutoff time, the reverse alarm time, the bedtime. We're actually going to go to your morning routine now. So NUI work. Who here knows Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants or the Eisenhower matrix? Do you guys know that? Anybody not know it? So picture 4 quadrants, kind of like this, okay? So 4 boxes. Ignore what's written there. But in the top right, you have urgent and important. And in the top left, you have non-urgent and important. And non-urgent important work is something that is really important to you, but it can be put off till tomorrow. Whereas urgent and important is like getting back on the edits. Oh man, I got to edit a draft for my guy today for my client. It's due by 2 p.m. Okay, you have to do that. You have to do that. Whereas, with Justin, writing the email is important, but it's not urgent. Like, he could technically skip a day, or the fact that he even started his daily email. It was important for him to start a daily email that got us all here. But you know what? He could have waited another day. He could have pushed this off. He could have I'll wait till spring of 2020. I got some other stuff to do. That's non-urgent important work. Non-urgent important work is writing sales letters for your own products. Non-urgent important work is writing sales copy for something that's not due for 90 days. Non-urgent important work, like it just doesn't need to be done today. That's the thing you have to do first thing in the morning. For me, it's writing books. I need to write books, and I don't have to write, but I don't have to write my book tomorrow. I could wait till next year. Now, thing is, if you go back and look at my life, I was a personal trainer, then I was an online fitness expert, and I didn't want to be either of those. I didn't actually love the fitness industry. I wanted out of the fitness industry. I wanted to be a coach and help people like you, like the way that I'm helping you today. And I was like, man, how the heck am I getting out of here? And the only way that came to me, I had some coaching clients. The only thing that came to me was I got to write a book about my systems. And so I started writing the Perfect Day Formula in the morning. It wasn't urgent. I could have waited, but I woke up every single day and wrote a chapter of that book, and the rest is history. It allowed me to move on. So you're going to wake up and do non-urgent important work. Now, kind of what I talked about before with Sean Hansel, he was getting up and doing his hour of power. And a lot of people are doing these really extensive morning routines that I call a perverse form of procrastination. All right. If you're doing 14 things before breakfast because you read the Inc.com article called the 14 things successful people do before breakfast, which took 4.5 hours if you added them all up, which is stupid. But if you're one of those people who wakes up and does yoga and meditation and gratitude journaling and interpretive dance, like if you're doing all these things, you're wasting your best time in a perverse form of procrastination known as an extensive morning routine. Now, I grew up on a farm. I'm actually at my farm right now. And as a farm boy growing up, what did we do? You get up and you get your butt out there and you feed those cows, because cows don't take a day off. They do not take a day off. And so I call doing the work first thing in the morning the farm boy morning miracle, because so many people want to write a book. So many people want to write sales copy for their own product, and they push it off, push it off, push it off. They try and find time in the day, and you never find time. You only make time. So you make time for the non-urgent important work, whether it's your book, whether it's your own copy, whether it's copy for something that's not due for another month, but it's your biggest project. And you could fritter away your time and all the urgent stuff coming in, like, oh, hey, can you rewrite a subject line for me for Wednesday when it's like Monday? Like, yeah, I'll do that right now because it'll only take a minute. And it robs you of time in your non-urgent important work. Okay. And then you go into self-care, morning routines or whatever. All right. And then really the rest of this, I highly recommend you do some deep work on a Saturday morning. I find that as a writer, I get a full, not just like a full writing block, but I feel like I've gotten an extra day of work done on Saturday morning by writing for 90 minutes. Because like Justin said, in the morning, there's nobody bothering you. But Monday through Friday, you know that people are going to bother you. On Saturday, you know that no one's going to bother you. And I just feel like I write better. And I think that you will write better too if you just do 90 minutes and then you go and do family time and all that sort of stuff. But make sure you work on Saturday morning. I really think it's going to be a game changer for people that are not doing it now. And then the last thing I'll say on this perfect week formula before we flip into the last little quick exercise is that not every day has to look the same. So I have a client in the financial advisor world where he does not work Fridays. Okay, when we started, he's like, man, I don't work Fridays. We got to rejigger my schedule so that I don't work Fridays. And we're like, okay, you're going to have to work really long hours on Tuesday and Thursday, but you get all Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. He's like, great. Okay, not every day has to look the same. So maybe you just write like a banshee on Monday. You just write like 6 hours and you do some edits and you do some emails and like you put in a 12-hour day on Monday. Great. But that means you can take Friday off. So just think about how you want your life to look and then use this system here to build it. Build your business around your life and not your life around your business. This is my next book. It's coming out in November. Really excited to get out there. We just finished it up. So the last thing, I'll run through this really quickly. I really appreciate everybody being on here so long. I don't want to waste your time. So 10 fewer hours. There's 4 questions you need to ask yourself. This is what I call the billionaire time matrix. This is going to save you a ton of time. So the first question is, what do you hate doing? What do you hate doing in your business or in your personal life? Whether it's running errands, whether it's cooking. For me, I hate doing calls in the morning. I hate it. And yet I was coming up with these stupid excuses. Like I've talked to people in Asia and Australia and New Zealand, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I don't want to make them do a call early in the morning. So I'll do a call early in the morning, my time, which is early evening for them. And then I would be so angry the night before. I'd be like, you dummy, you gave away your magic time. So you can see, like, even with all I know, I was still making these mistakes. And I was giving away my magic time. And I was like, I hate doing this. I don't need to. So I'm just going to change my schedule. So the things that you hate doing, you might move to a different time because you still have to do them, or you might delegate them or just stop them, which leads us to our next question. The second most important question here is, what should you stop doing? What should you stop doing? And this means when you stop doing it, no one in your business should do it. No one. It's not like, oh, well, this is something you delegate. No, this is something like nobody should be doing. No one. Like if you stop this, not only will it not hurt your business, it will give you more time so that your business gets better because you stop doing this thing. And so you might be one of those people with like 33 email newsletter subscriptions, right? Like I got Ryan Dice, I got Frank Kern, I got Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is like 19 email subscriptions with the amount of email he sends out. Then you got Justin, maybe you got Craig, and then you got, all these people, right? Listen, you just got to stop reading 33 emails. Okay. Every single email that you read steals time from your health, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your partner, whatever it is. Every single minute you're on social screwing around, it's stealing from your kids if you have kids. You got to be harsh about your time. So when I launched my books, I was doing all these podcasts, and I was doing podcasts for people with like 50 listeners. And how stupid is that? Because it's not just the hour of doing the podcast, it's the 15 minutes before, like, oh, I got to set up the mic, and I got to, make sure that the mic is working properly. And then I got to, make sure that I'm using my plugged in internet or hardwired internet and not on Wi-Fi so that, it's good. And then 15 minutes of unplugging all the crap. And so I'm wasting almost 2 hours to talk to 50 people. You dummy, Craig. You could go and make 10 YouTube videos. And I have the one YouTube video that's watched 4 million times. You think it'd be better to make a YouTube video that's been watched like even 10,000 times compared to doing a podcast for 50 people? I digress. All right. So think about the things you should stop doing and just cut them from your life. So eliminate. The next one is delegate. What is not your job? What are you doing in your business, in your copywriting, in your personal life that is not your job? It could be everything from mowing the lawn to doing the grocery shopping. For me, I was doing video uploads because, hey, listen, I come from a blue collar background, and I thought, who am I to tell somebody else to take a video, and it's only 5 minutes, and why should I ask them to do it for 5 minutes? Like, I must be a dick if I'm asking people to upload my videos. I can't do it myself. Well, yeah, I can't do it myself because that's not my job. So I hired them to do it. They're going to do it. So you can find people, we talked about this before, be the Oprah of your business. Oprah of your business. Oprah would use this time matrix and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that stuff. I'm not coordinating the catering for the show. That's not my job. I'm going to hire the best person to do it. So think about the things that are not your job and delegate them to somebody whose job it is. And every time you do this, write down how many hours you save with these questions. And then finally, the last one is, what are your distractions? So for me, I go on Instagram in the afternoon because I justify it like, oh, I can make money on Instagram. And I can, but it's not the best use of my time. I should probably just leave it for later. Like I've checked at noon and I'll check again at like 6 or 7. I don't need to check again at 3:30. It's just a waste of time. So whether it's Netflix, whether it's drinking, whether, you work out twice a day, like I teach a lot of fitness entrepreneurs and they're like still training, they're 35 years old and still training like they're 20. Like, give it up. Eventually you just have to give it up and stop working out so much. Most people work out too much that are really high performers. You just don't need to. You're going to save a ton of time. You're going to be easier on your body. You don't need to work out as much as you do. So think about all the things that you're using as distractions. Like, a lot of people in business, a lot of entrepreneurs use working out as a distraction from doing the hard things in their business, like having the hard conversations with underperforming team members. They're like, man, I don't have time for that. I got to go do my 90-minute CrossFit. Like, no, get serious about being a business owner, a copywriter, and cut that stuff until you make it. All right, then underneath there are a couple more questions. If money was no object, how would you fix these problems? And what you'll find is that money is not an object of fixing these problems. Like, all my problems there, all I needed to do was get a Calendly link and not take any calls in the morning and have my assistant and my salesperson do their job. I just had to delegate and train them a little bit. It didn't cost me any more money, $10 a month for a Calendly link. Next, very important. What will this give you more time to do? Well, it'll give you more time to write killer copy. So you got a blank page here. If I don't have these handouts to you, I can send them to Justin. He can send them to you and you can fill them out. But for me, now I have more time to film. Now I have more time to learn. Now I have more time to do high-level meetings. Now I have more time. If I'm not doing my sales calls with my client, with my prospects, because my sales guy who actually already worked for me is doing them, now I can do these sessions with you guys, lift you up, help you write more copy that helps more people. This is a much better use of my time. And I get to walk my dog. So I actually did this because my chocolate lab died last year. He was old, so I didn't spend that much time with him, right? Like, you need a 30-minute walk. Well, if you get a puppy, that means I need 3 hours a day with my puppy. Like, she's crazy. And I didn't have 3 hours in my day. So I invented this time exercise for myself so that I had more time to walk my dog. And then one of my themes is always, what are the first steps to fixing your problem? What are the first steps that you can take right now? Whether it is, hey, you got a new client, what's the first step that you can do to move ahead on writing the copy? Don't just put it off and say, okay, it's not due for 6 weeks, I'll get to it next week. No, write some notes down. Write some notes down. What's the first step that you can do? And it's the same with these time problems. What's the first step? Hire an assistant. Call somebody. Send an email and say, hey, what did you do when you were hiring your assistant? Do you have an ad I can use? What website did you go to? Solve these problems. Get momentum and motivation, because that gets the snowball of success rolling. If you wait, you become demotivated. And everything I've taught you today, it's like, well, that sounded good, but I didn't get a chance to do it today, and I won't get a chance to do it tomorrow. And then next thing you're like, I don't even remember what you talked about. No, you got to go get a quick victory. So write down below what you're going to do right now. Right in the chat. Are you going to email somebody for help? Are you going to put up a job posting? Are you going to make a list of all the things that you shouldn't be doing? Are you going to go in and print out a time journal and start that tomorrow morning? What are you going to do to get a quick victory with everything that we've talked about today? That's what I want to know. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. I'm going to make stuff up for you. I'm going to say that Connor is going to go and do the time journal. Okay, so Ben says he's going to make a list of what he shouldn't be doing and set up some systems. Dan Gillespie, fix bedtime and wake up time. Vance is going to do time journal. NBP is going to do some spec work and print the time journal. Shlomi is going to do the head dump, the brain dump. Yemi's going to delegate a ton more to his wife. That sounds like a bad idea. He's been holding, I'm just kidding. I've been holding it in because he's a control freak. Right, we do that. Yeah, Connor's going to map out the perfect week. Caleb's going to do weekly planning. Jason's going to make a commitment to go to the same time every night. That is going to be a total game changer. It's so silly and stupid, like, oh, go to bed. It's going to be a game changer. Galal, man, awesome to hear from you again. Hey, set up a bedtime, wake up time, and use the time journal. Christopher Smith, be more disciplined from the day plans. Natalie, hire a cleaner. You deserve it, Natalie. You're not put here to clean, okay? You're here to write copy that's going to change lives. So the last thing is, next thing you should do is just plan out your perfect day. So script out your days. And the more you script them out, you're going to have this time where you're going to know exactly what you should be doing, how much time you have for meetings and stuff like that, so that your days are just dialed in and it's not guesswork and you're not flying by the seat of your pants. Okay. So with all that in place, my friends, you can find somebody in the group, I'm sure, through this network who can hold you accountable, because you must have accountability. You must have deadlines and consequences for not meeting them. And you must be committed to making time for what matters. Carrie's going to do some reflection time at the end of the week. Yes, that is a real game changer too. All right, Justin, I'm all talked out. I don't want to take any more time from your people. They got copy to write. So everybody, make sure you get accountability and follow through on this.
Awesome, man. This was great. Did you guys find this helpful? Feel free to pop something in the chat real quick. Big thumbs up or a yes, or
Justin, did I send the worksheets to you?
I don't think so.
Okay, I will send them to you, and then everybody can just, I don't know, maybe email your assistant or something for them.
Yeah, you can just email me if you justingoff@gmail.com.
Maybe if you send a replay out, you can just put the link in there, or the download too.
Yep,
but yeah, and it's good to have the sheets.
This will go on my YouTube channel as well, so
okay,
I'll post them in the link for the YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Go out and crush some copy with this.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right. Talk soon.
Later.